In September 2005, a woman was on a hike in Colorado, attempting to climb the Mount of the Holy Cross. As her hiking partner Eric continued the climb, Michelle decided to head back and meet him at a different location, and this was the last time she was ever seen again. Michelle Vanek was a 35-year-old mother of 4 who lived in Lakewood, Colorado. She was known for her athletic background, having been a swimming star and a triathlete before her climbing career. So she was someone who clearly wanted to move, achieve, and see the world. Today, we're talking about the disappearance of Michelle Vanek and asking, how can someone disappear in such a short space of time? The White Mountains in Colorado, near the ancient bristlecone pine forest, are known for their stunning natural beauty. The site boasts high altitudes of over 10,000 feet with rugged terrain, and while remote, it isn't completely isolated. Close by are the towns of Golden and Boulder, as well as ski resorts and zipline activities for those looking for an adrenaline rush. On that September day, therefore, Michelle was hiking with her friend in an area surrounded by other people. So this was by far not an extreme survival situation as they set out. On the 24th of September 2005 at 6:30 a.m, Michelle and Eric set out on their hike. Eric, a seasoned hiker, had chosen the Mount of the Holy Cross, which was a relatively difficult hike with an elevation of just over 14,000 feet. But Michelle was feeling confident about the hike, given her athletic capabilities. Surprisingly though, the two didn't carry a map, a compass, GPS, or personal locator beacon with them. Early in the hike, Michelle began complaining of a headache, which is a possible sign of altitude sickness, and took medication to manage it. They soon realised they were on the wrong route, having accidentally taken the more difficult Halo Ridge Trail. To make things worse, Eric had left their food and a water purifier back in the car. But turning back would have required difficult terrain, so they decided to continue. After several hours of hiking, they stopped briefly at a stone shelter near the summit to rest from the cold and wind, before continuing along the ridge. By this point, they were already behind schedule, and Michelle was struggling to keep up. At around 1:25 p.m, nearing the summit, Michelle said she was exhausted, out of water, and couldn't continue. Eric suggested turning back, but instead, they agreed to split up, and he would quickly reach the summit while she began heading down. He gave her an energy gel and pointed her toward the descent route. Eric then reached the summit briefly before heading back down, expecting to meet her, but she was gone. As he searched the trail, he called out her name and asked other hikers if they'd seen her, and it quickly became clear no one had. Shortly after, he called 911. So in this very short window of time, Michelle just vanished. She never made it to the meeting point, never made it back to the car, and was never seen again. And this is what made the case unusual. It didn't involve deep wilderness or days of hiking. There was a clear, simple plan agreed, and yet it never happened. The scale of the search was massive, with a small team starting that very evening and a bigger search the days following. It included ground teams, helicopters, and search dogs, and covered large sections of mountainous terrain. At the time, it was the largest search in Colorado history. But after days of hope, no trace of Michelle was found. No body, no clothing, and no belongings in sight. Eagle County Sheriff Joe Hoy called off the search. This is significant because it wasn't a delayed response here. The searches began extremely early, just hours after she was last seen, and usually these searches eventually do stumble across something, whether that be belongings of the person or even the person themselves. Even in difficult terrain, people tend to leave some kind of trace, but nothing here was found. One theory of what happened was that Michelle fell during the descent and became injured to the point that she couldn't move and then succumbed to the environment. But if this was the case, then her remains, or at least some of her belongings, should have been found. A similar theory was that Michelle became disorientated and lost judgment and sense of direction. And given that she was complaining of a headache earlier on, which can be caused by high altitudes, as we said, this did hold some credit. She could have wandered off along a different path and never found her way back. Again though, there was no trace of her found. Some even suggested that there could have been animal involvement or even foul play, but in either case, no evidence was found of this. It was not until nearly 20 years later that the remains of a woman were found. The breakthrough came after Pastor Scott Beebe, who had helped in the original search, claimed that he'd had a mysterious dream in 2023 in which the missing woman asked to be found by an all-female team. Though initially doubtful, her husband believed the message, saying it aligned with her spiritual nature. A group of 6 women from Vale Mountain Rescue formed a search team and re-examined the areas previously overlooked. Using mapping technology, they focused on an unsearched section of the mountain's northeast side. In September 2024, one team member discovered personal items along with human remains in a remote ravine. Identification of it being Michelle was confirmed through a distinctive necklace recognised by her husband. The discovery completely ruled out foul play. Investigators believe she became dehydrated, attempted to reach a nearby lake and accidentally fell down a steep drop. Her husband described the discovery as bringing peace, saying it felt like a chapter we can now close. This is such a fascinating case because the occurrences are so circumstantial. And with hindsight, we can say that if Eric had remembered to bring the water and the food from the car, and if they'd taken navigational equipment with them, it may not have ended up the way that it did. Furthermore, we have a spiritual element of a pastor having some kind of revelation of where Michelle was after so many years. It is such a weird twist and turns of events that really illustrates the one area you didn't search would have ended the question of what really happened to Michelle. And I do feel a kind of relief for the family as they now have a better understanding of what happened to her. And while it is truly saddening news, I couldn't imagine the not knowing for that long. Like almost 20 years went by. But that is it for the disappearance of Michelle Vanek. Please let me know your thoughts on this one. And, I know it's solved now, but yeah, comment down what you think. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.